Good afternoon, students. So welcome back to our online session. In today's session, we are going to discuss the digital signal processing and application. So in that we have covered Unit 1 and the part of Unit 1 we have discussed. Now we are going to cover more concepts related to your digital signal processing and application. So before proceeding with that, let's take overview of a previous class what we have discussed. In the previous class we talk about the signal processor, difference between analog signal processor with digital signal processor, and we talk about the application part of it, and we even learn about the processing of signal can be done by using the signaling system, how the signaling system can vary from one form to another form we have covered. In the next class, that means in today's sessions, we are more concerned with our Z transform, the properties of Z transform, the application of Z transform, and the usage of Z transform. The main concept what we had in Unit 1, we are having discrete Fourier transform and inverse discrete Fourier transform. The problems related to that already you have done in the unit, the lecture, the third lecture I have just explained you about that. In today's sessions, I am just more concerned with Z transform, the property of Z transform and the usage of Z transform and everything. So this is our complete discussion of today's class. Clear? So in that we are going to see basic part is what are the properties of any kind of transformation. So basically the properties are nothing but, if you recall your previous class session of signal and system, we have talked about linearity, advanced properties, we do have scaling properties, we do have convolution properties, we do have a lot of properties which we are going to see in our upcoming sessions. Okay, so this is our more concern and we are going to see about that in our previous session. Okay, so the main concept what actually we are concerned here is how Z transform is used to design our signal processor, whether it is analog or digital, that is irrespective of it, but how it is going to work on that, that is our main concern. So we are going to deal with that particular concept in today's session. So students, so we covered the last topic in our previous session. So we have seen the signals and systems and all the topic related to that. Now in today's sessions, I am just going to teach you about how do we get the Z transform, what are the application of Z transform and why Z transform is being used in our signal and system processing. So before moving ahead with that, the important concept what I just said, it is energy signal and the power signal. This energy and power signals are important and definitely they will ask you about it. Design Parseval theorems. There is a one more theorem we do have based upon the energy and power signal. So what is the difference between energy and power signal? In energy signal we do have summation with signal square, right? This is x of square of n is there with mod. This is called energy signal. What about power signal? The average power for a discrete time signal x of n can be defined as p is equals to n tends to infinity. Whatever the limit is there for that particular n number of samples, it always tends to infinity. 1 by 2n plus 1, same factor. With the energy we do have, if you add this specific this factor, if you add to that particular energy signal, then it convert into power, average power signal. Clear? So this you should know. What is the part you need to remember? If the energy is finite and the power is 0 for x of n, the x of n is called as energy signal. If the power is finite and energy is infinite, suppose power is finite and energy is infinite, then the signal is power signal. This you need to keep in your mind. What we are saying, if energy is finite and power is 0, if suppose I am writing energy is equals to finite and power is equals to 0, then I can say that belongs to energy signal. They will give you one particular signal. They ask to determine whether it is energy or power signal. So we have to put the value of n and we have to get the answer. If energy is finite, suppose you are getting number as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If it is in points also, it's no problem. You will get the answer. But the power needs to be 0. If it is getting in that particular format, then we can say that that particular signal belongs to the energy signal. Whereas for the power, if you want to find out, energy must be infinite. Infinite in the sense, you need to get 1 by 0 form. 1 by 0 is called it as infinity. And that particular signal is considered to be the power signal. Clear? So based upon these two parameters, you will design whether the given signal is energy signal or power signal. Okay? So we need to know about it, we need to learn it, and we have to form it. So student, next concept is about properties of discrete time signal. So first property what we are learning about the shifting property. How do we design a shifting property? So for that what I am assuming, suppose my signal is x of n can be shifted into time domain. In that I'm keeping it is shifting to n minus k position. So what we are doing, suppose you see here n is equal to 0, that is belongs to -2, right? -2 for 0. So now what I want to do it, I want to delay this signal. I want to delay means I want to shift the signal on this particular side. This is the side I just want to delay it. If I'm putting in a negative direction, it will delay it in this direction. It will move to this particular part. Suppose I have delayed this signal. Whatever the signal is that I have delayed for x of n minus 2. That means this 0th position is moved to 1, 2. At 0th, this is 0 value, it will move. So see here, n is equal to 0 starting from 0, -1, 1. As you can see here, whereas the 4, -2, 4, 0 will be here. So this is called, we are delayed by the signal with that particular sample. So two position we have delayed for the left hand side. Similarly, if you advance in the sense x of n plus 2. If you put the x of n plus 2, what will happen? This particular signal, whatever the signal we do have, instead of going on left hand side, it will move to the right hand side. So here, instead of starting from -2, here we're moving it with this particular direction. So here, it's moved to this other direction of that particular signal. This is called as delaying that signal and advancing the signal. That is called shifting property. Shifting property of any given discrete signal. So similarly, next concept is folding or reflection. So basically, what is the meaning of folding? It is defined for a signal when you had origin n is equal to 0. In this case, it can be fold to n is equals to -n. Means whatever the left hand side values are there, those are shifted to right hand side. You can see here is x of n. I'm folding into x of -n. So that means whatever this value -240, here you had, see, -240, and this right hand side will move to this particular direction. This is called as folding or reflection. So students, so next we are proceeding with our addition of two signals. So suppose you had a first signal x1 of n, we are passing with another signal x2 of n. So when we pass these two signals, when you want to add these two, I am just writing the output as y of n. So when we had y of n should be the combination of x1 of n and x2 of n. That particular property is called as addition property of two signals, and it needs to be generated by the output sequence y of n. So where actually the signals are we are using? We are using in our superposition theorem in our communication systems, in all kind of image processing systems. You may have seen this kind of signals when we do have a pixels, right? When we see any particular image, we consider it to be the pixel. If you see the photograph of any particular object, if you want to enlarge it, if you want to go for sectoring of it, if you want to go for the folding of it, anything that can be possible by considering the folding concept, by considering the addition property, by considering the shifting property. So these are all the properties actually we are using for any kind of signal which needs to be in discrete form. So next is nothing but our main concept, what actually we are using, discrete time signals x of n. How do we are converting into z domain? Because z transform is used to perform n domain signal, we can convert into z domain signal. Clear? So suppose you had first concept, the representation of the block. How do we represent that particular block? We can represent by using this form. So as you can see here, first concept what we are using, we are using a delay, unit delay. So what is unit delay? In that, as you can see here, input, what is the input for this one? X of n. What is the output for this is y of n. Y of n is what I am writing, it is delayed by one first position. So that is what? Z power -1. If it is -1 over here, you have to write z power -1. If it is +1 over here, if you are putting the advance of it. So the advance means we are doing the addition, we are putting that into right hand side. For that particular system, we can put as z power +1. This is called as unit delay, and this is called unit advance. Likewise, we do have an addition. Addition, as just now we have said, we do have two signals when we are combining x1 of n and x2 of n. When we try to combine and we want to write the output for it, so x1 of n and x2 of n, both we have added. So this is the way we have to represent whenever we want to design the Z transform signals for digital signal processor. So for this thing, we can write y of n is equals to x1 of n plus x2 of n. Similarly, for multiplication, same way, y of n is what? x1 of n into x2 of n. Instead of writing plus sign over there, we need to write the into sign. Similarly, for the scaling, what is the meaning of scaling? We need to multiply a particular factor to it, right? So suppose I do have a is my factor. So x of n is the input, a is just we are multiplying. So what we get? A into x of n, that is what? Output y of n. So what we observe in all these kind of properties, we observe that whenever we do have a signal x of n, we are try to write the output in terms of y of n. X of n is our input, y of n is our output. So when you try to write down this particular thing, then we call it as writing that into z domain. Whenever we want to write z factor, when you want to perform discrete time systems, so we always try to find by using the z factor only. Clear? So by using the z factor, we are trying to convert your discrete time signal into discrete Z transform signal. So likewise, we do have classification of discrete time signals. So how many types of discrete time signals we can use it? What are the properties of it? So those are considered to be the classification of discrete time signals based upon these properties. So what is the first property? Property in the sense we just want to classify that. How do we classify the discrete time signal? One is a static, another is a dynamic. What is a static means? A system, static systems are those systems which output at any instant of time depends at the most or input sample at same instant. So means what? At one particular value, outputs are not changing. It is constant for all the values. This is called static. Dynamics means it will keep on changing. As you can see here, output depends upon the past input as well as the future sample inputs. So for that, it depends upon both the values, past as well as future. For that thing, this is called as dynamicity property or dynamic discrete time system. Clear? So as you can see here, x of n. Tell me what is x of n? There is only one input. That is called static. Dynamic means what? See, it delayed by 2, right? X n minus 2. What is this n minus 2 means? It depends upon the past input, right? So n minus 2 means what? Past input. This is called dynamic. Whereas it's n, if you only have n, then it is static. If you had that you are doing multiplication of that internal domain, these are different, right? X square of n is different, x n square is different. X square of n means x of n into x of n. X n square means you are multiplying the n domain twice. So when we multiply it, then it is become future input. So this is called dynamic. Whereas over here, fifth example, what you can say? N with x of n we wrote, with x square of n we wrote. So what is this value? We can write it as, it is also static because we are not putting any function and we are not giving any kind of changes to that particular function. Whereas in the sixth example, we can see that it has static. This is your static input, right? What about this? This is what dynamic because it depends upon the past input. This depends upon the future input. So when we do have this kind of thing, that combination is considered to be the dynamic only. That means static plus dynamic systems is nothing but the dynamic discrete time system only. So next we do have students, we have the time invariant, shift invariant or time variant or shift variant. What is the difference between these two discrete time of systems? So time invariant means inputs of output does not change with any shift of time. Means a system is said to be invariant if its input output characteristics does not change. If input or output both should not be changed with respect to time, then it is called invariant. If it is changing, then it is called time variant. Variable. When it is varying, that is called variant. When it is not varying, it is invariant. Similarly, the second point what it says that linear time invariant systems can be uniquely characterized by impulse response. We do have impulse responses when we design the filters, low pass filter, high pass filter, band pass filter, band stop filter by using the approximation technique. In your IAR filtering concept, impulse invariant response filtering, we do have second unit. We are going to discuss about that, how it is going to work. Here, we should not perform, no mathematical analysis can be performed. It only use the probabilistic realistic method. Clear? So here what actually does, it use thermal noise in electronic components. If you want to design the time invariant system which is not varying with respect to time, then the noise in electronic components are there. Whereas in time variant system, the rainfall per month or noise will be going to find out where actually it is going to use. That is the example they gave. It is used in printing document by a printer. As an example, you can say here rainfall per month. We cannot able to sustainable tell, right? How much it would be the rainfall. We can find the average. We can find out and we can tell that about it, right? This is just an example of time variant and time invariant. So next is linear versus non-linear system. So these are different types of systems students you have to have. Linear means it satisfies superposition theorem. Superposition means if you had addition, like addition you have done, right? If you do have x1 of n and x2 of n, if you are combining both of them, if you want to write the response of it, it should be a1 x of n plus a2 x2 of n. This is called linearity property. Whereas non-linear means the system which should not satisfy this superposition theorem. So you already have know about superposition theorem, you know about the Norton theorem, Thevenin's theorem. So superposition, one of the theorems which actually used in the networks. So same thing we are utilizing in this particular system. We are able to tell about the system analysis. See here in this system what I took, I have taken one example and I have taken two inputs x1 and x2. I am passing with a multiplying factor a1 and a2. If I want to combine both of them, if it is obeying this condition, y of n is equals to, we are transforming, right, t of a1 x of n x1 of n plus a2 x2 of n. If it is obeying this condition, then we can say that the given system is said to be obeying the concept of linear property. Clear? Similarly, I can have like this also. If you do have x1 of n with the first system, if you do have x2 of n with another system, we are multiplying with this factor. If you are getting this one as well, y of n is equal to same thing, right? As you can see, outputs are not changing. The combination of inputs are changing. So whenever we do like this particular system is said to be linear system. Clear? So in exam, what actually they'll give 5 marks problem. In that they will mention in your 6th semester for EEE and even for the ECE students. So for electronics and communication and electrical and electronics engineering, you will be in the 3rd year 6th semester. You will be going to get a problem to design or to verify whether the given signal is linear or not, whether the given signal is going to perform the linearity or not. For that thing, you have to substitute different values. We need to tell whether the given system is linear or not. So as you can see here in examples, e power x of n is non-linear. Why it is non-linear? If I put x1 and x2, all will be in e power only. So in that I cannot able to separate that. Then it is non-linear. This also non-linear. This also non-linear. Where is linear? Only when we do have a signal separation. I can write x1 of n plus x2 of n. I can write separate, right? For remaining part, I cannot do segregation. We cannot segregate that. So that's the reason all are non-linear except the x of minus n. Clear? So you should know about that, how the linearity is going to be used and how the linearity is going to be worked. So that's about today's session. So what we discussed in today's sessions, we have seen the properties of Z transform, how do we design it and how we maintain it. So do maintain the running notes. So whenever we do have offline mode, I'm going to check your all the notes. So be prepared with that. We're going to give you assignments based upon that particular classes. Thank you.